Okay. Firstly, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those who don't know me, I'm Simon, Louise's brother, and now obviously John's brother-in-law. I'd like to thank you for all coming for both Louise's and John's very special day, and I'm sure you'll agree they both look wonderful together. Yeah. If I'm honest, when I was given the responsibility of giving Louise away, I was deeply honoured and both saddened at the same time. When I took time to reflect on the situation, I realised the obvious, and it was their celebration, and my only trepidation was the enormous shoes I'd been given to fill. For those who didn't know our father, he was a larger-than-life character, and there were very few occasions where I could say there was a person in the room whose personality shone through more brightly. For instance, on an occasion like this, I have no doubt he would have revelled in the spotlight while speaking to his adoring public, whilst telling them how proud he was of his beautiful daughter. I will add that I'm pretty sure he would have somehow offended a few people on the way. But that's in part what we loved about him, and I'm sure his friends and his families who are here today will surely agree. Yes. John, it's a shame that you never got to know our father, and I'm sure he would have approved of yourself as a fine suitor for his youngest daughter. But I will add that you have to have endured the many anecdotes he had to offer to eventually seal his approval. On that note, I would just like to very quickly all put a toast towards my father now. You know, he's a special guy, someone that we all miss dearly. And if you could all just, raise glasses to Brian, please. Brian. Thank you very much. Thank you. As I said, I'm sure my father would approve to John, but as the only man of the family, it would be up to me to obviously decide. I believe it was sometime in November 2009 when Louise and John met. As always, I was made aware through the medium of my mother of Louise's goings on in regards to her relationships, so therefore didn't know about it until a month after they were together. So you can imagine my surprise when she tells me that John was moving into the house only a month into their relationship. Meaning, in effect, I was being told a random man was making the family home his. I was curious, if a tad not sceptical, to say the least, and as I didn't live at the home anymore, and as John was only around in the evenings, it was very difficult for me to find an opportunity to meet him, due to me normally catching up with my family on lunch breaks because of the convenience of where I worked. Even though I hadn't yet met John, I started to get a good understanding of the person he could be, but slowly, but surely, more and more of his influence would be noticeable around the house. It started with just clothes and shoes, then the car started looking cleaner. And then lastly, almost every kind of exercise equipment you could imagine was operating out the front room, which led me to believe my mother had set up a new business venture called Linda's Gym. After all the preconceptions that I'd made of John, I was pleasantly surprised to find him to be a charming, humble young man, who immediately I could see why my sister had fallen for. Whenever I've met John since, he's always made time for me, and from what I'm told and seen, he will do his utmost to try and make sure that anything he does is done properly, if that be in his work life or his private life. I believe he will be ideally suited for my sister, and someone I'm happy to call my brother-in-law. Now to my sister. From a very early age, it was apparent to everyone that Louise was going to be an extremely dominant character within the household. This was no more apparent than the dreaded long car journeys that our parents had to endure when taking us up and down the country for our family vacations. Every journey would start with a scramble for the first seat we could get to, but our parents soon realised that me and Louise sitting together was not such a good idea. After much fighting and many arguments, it was decided that for all our car journeys, my other sister, Claire, was to be put in the middle of the back seat to try and separate us, which would be to her misfortune. If you can imagine both Louise and me opposite ends of the back seat primed for battle as punches, toys and verbal insults were thrown, with poor Claire getting caught in the crossfire on almost every occasion. This said a lot of Louise, being up against her brother of almost 5 years senior, and however much I tried to exert my sibling dominance, she would never yield. Thankfully, the arrival of handheld computer games saved my parents from an eventual car accident and a worrying visit from social services. The dynamics of those car journeys seemed to reflect the personalities that both my sisters would later become, and that Claire was the passive, caring type, and Louise the ballsy go-getter who wouldn't let anything get in her way. Ironically enough, she most definitely inherited these traits from her father, and I know that he'll be looking down on you right now with his full blessing. Get to the last page. Right. And in short, basically, to sum it all up, it just remains for me to basically get you all on your feet. That's you guys at the back as well, and you lot. Get up, get up. And basically, if you'd like to join me in toasting, what's my drink? It's going to be a beer. Right. Yeah, basically, join me in toasting Louise and John. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you the wonderful bride and groom. Right, and where is Tim? Go on.
I'm hiding in the corner.
Get up.
Down in the last picture.